Hola jóvenes, hoy vamos a estudiar los mandatos informales de To Commands, que es la primera sección de gramática del capítulo 11 de su texto arriba. ¿Recuerdas los mandatos formales? Para dar mandatos u órdenes formales, to give formal commands, utilizamos la forma de usted o ustedes, tercera persona singular o plural, formal en el subjuntivo presente. Y para dar un mandato negativo, simplemente ponemos no antes del verbo. No hable así conmigo. No vayan al bar demasiado. No tomen medicina. Ok, mandatos formales. Hable, hablen, no hablen. Coma, coman, no coma o no coman. Escriba, no escriba o escriban, no escriban. Singular y plural. Esta es Tita Altagracia. Okay. Tita es una perrita puertorriqueña y es una perrita muy obediente. Aquí vamos a darle mandatos informales, informal commands, to Tita, a Tita. Lee, compra. Tita, no comas chocolate. No veas el programa The Walking Dead. Arréglate. Toma el sol. Ponte las gafas. Duerme. No pidas. No te enojes. Descansa. Siéntate. Siéntate. Piensa. No estés triste. Okay, when do we use informal commands or to commands? Okay, we use informal commands or to commands in informal situations, of course, when you are among friends, with people that you know very well of your own generation, with family, when you're giving orders to your pet. That is when we use informal commands, mandatos informales. ¿Cómo se forma? How do we conjugate them? Okay. Los mandatos afirmativos vamos a usar la tercera persona del indicativo, the third person, él o ella, of the indicative, the present indicative. So if you're going to give a command to someone, okay, first you're going to conjugate the verb in the third person singular, okay, él o ella. And then you're going to give the command. Baila, corre, bebe, escribe, piensa, pide. Now, when the commands are negative, it's a little bit different. It's a lot of different. First, you're going to conjugate the verb in the second person singular, to. Therefore, we call them also the to commands, okay? And not only that, we're going to conjugate them in the subjunctive, in the present subjunctive, okay? No bailes, no corras, no bebas, no escribas, no pienses, no pidas, okay? And remember that when a verb is regular in the subjunctive, it's going to be irregular in the commands, okay? So if verbs that are irregular, like padecer and dormir, in the subjunctive, they're going to be irregular in the command, in the informal command conjugation. No padezcas, no estés, no duermas, no sepas, no pienses, no vayas. So let's look at this. Okay. let's say you want to give a command to someone, okay, to someone that is standing right in front of you, okay, and you're going to first think, okay, I'm going to give a command a ti, to, tú, okay, so if you're going to conjugate in the indicative, you would say tú estudias, but if you're going to give a mandato, you're going to conjugate in the third person singular, so it would be estudia. And if it's going to be a negative command, an informal negative command, it's going to be no estudies. Indicative would be tú hablas. In informal command, it would be habla. In informal command, in the negative, no hables. Tú te sientas is indicative. Mandato, siéntate. Mandato negativo, no te sientes. Indicative, tú lees. Affirmative, informal command, lee. Negative, informal command, no leas. Okay, there are several affirmative commands that are very irregular, like, for example, di la verdad. ¿Cuál es el verbo? Di la verdad. Decir. Haz la tarea. ¿Cuál es el verbo? Hacer. Ve al desempleo. ¿Cuál es el verbo? Ir. Pon tu solicitud de empleo ahí. ¿Cuál es el verbo? Poner. Sal a tiempo. ¿Cuál es el verbo? Salir. Sé amable en la oficina. ¿Cuál es el verbo? Ser. Ten paciencia. ¿Cuál es el verbo? Tener. Ven a mi oficina. ¿Cuál es el verbo? Venir. Okay, let's go to a mini repaso of the indirect and direct object pronouns, or the pronouns of the direct or indirect objects. Okay, if you have a command that is in the affirmative, you're going to attach the pronouns at the end of the command if the command is affirmative. If the command is negative, you're going to put it between no and the command. Okay? For example, hazlo, no lo hagas. Okay, so do you remember the pronouns of the indirect and direct objects? Okay, they are very similar, but there are differences too. Okay, the pronouns of the direct objects are me, te, lo o la, nos, os, los o las. The indirect objects are me, te, le o se, nos, os, les o se. And remember, you can't have le y lo, or les y la, or les y lo together. You're going to change le to se. Ok, pide un aumento de sueldo a tu jefe. Un aumento de sueldo es un objeto directo. A tu jefe es un objeto indirecto. Ok, el pronoun of the direct object is lo, and the pronoun of the indirect object is le. Now, how can we create a command in the affirmative? Okay, pídele un aumento de sueldo. Okay, we just get rid of the indirect object, and we're going to use a pronoun, and we're going to attach it to the command at the end. Pídele un aumento de sueldo. Okay, le stands for a tu jefe, okay, al jefe. Pídeselo, okay, pídeselo is when you are using both pronouns, the pronoun of the direct object and the pronoun of the indirect object, and you get rid of them, and you use the pronouns, then you use pídeselo, okay? You have the pronoun of the indirect object first, and then the pronoun of the direct object second, and you attach them to the command at the end. Okay, pídeselo. Ok, tita, decir. Dime tus secretos. Okay, me is an indirect, is a pronoun of an indirect object, okay? And tus secretos is a direct object. So let's change this to dímelos, dímelos. Okay, you have both pronouns, indirect and direct, dímelos. En negativo, in the negative form, no me los digas. Mandato, pronombre indirecto, pronombre directo. Okay, how do you change the sentence escribir tu curriculum vitae as an informal command in the affirmative? Escríbelo, escríbelo. In the negative, no lo escribas, no lo escribas. Ok, darle tu solicitud de trabajo al jefe. How do we change this sentence into a command? Okay, and you can see that the verb darle is already accompanied by a pronoun of an indirect object, darle. Okay, dale la solicitud de trabajo. If you're going to use both pronouns, indirect and direct, dásela. Se al jefe refers to the jefe, and la refers to the solicitud de trabajo. No se la des would be in the negative. You put both se, which is the indirect pronoun, and la between no and the verb. Okay? Okay, and we also have the reflexive verbs and in se. And you remember the pronouns of the reflexives are very similar also to the indirect pronouns and the direct pronouns, but they always use se. Okay? Okay, let's change this reflexive verb into a command, an informal command to Tita. Okay. Cálmate, cálmate. No te calmes. No te calmes would be the negative informal command. Acuéstate, acuéstate. O no te acuestes. Ponte el lazo. O póntelo if you use both pronouns. In the negative, it would be no te lo ponga. Okay, I will always love you, my little tita. Preguntas? Okay, if you have any questions, please post them in the e-classroom en el salón virtual. Okay?